Hello. So we have a few tasks at hand. Number one, we need to battle the post-lunch Z monster. So and then I'm not sure if you guys need to go to the bathroom. If you do, I kind of split the session into three parts, about 15 minutes each. So if you want to go to the bathroom, yeah, just wait for those parts. I was just telling those who just came, those who came here earlier, I try to keep this session half an hour, and then maybe hopefully 15 minutes of Q&A, because I think we have a lot of variety of challenges and questions, and I do hope to get to them. And okay, so my name is Xavier. I am into the business of influencing hearts and minds, which is also the fancy way of saying branding and marketing. I work at Superminted, as you can see. Oh wait, I need to get used to the clicker. Right. And Superminted is a full-service creative agency that's really into branding and marketing, all right? And so this is some of the brands that we work with. So we've worked with, as you can see, a range of them, from e-commerce to luxury to tech and transport, etc. Yeah? So we work with them on branding, marketing, some of them KOL management, etc. And now a bit about myself. I've been somewhere, have done some things. I bought the T-shirt for it. And so basically, I've spent the last 16 years in branding and marketing. Basically what I've done is I started as a designer. And then I went on to be a brand consultant, and then I went on to be a video producer because I went to set up my own video company. And then I went on to become a marketer for a famous consumer electronic brand, Bose. I was head of marketing there for a while. And then I set up my own T-shirt company. And then I became a father of two, planned parent of many, and now employee of SPMT. Okay, so just a brief introduction of myself. And today I really hope that we can have a meaningful session, right? So today I just want to share some thoughts based on my experience on two things. So the first thing is branding. Like, what the heck is branding, right? Such an abstract word. And why is it important to you as a creator to know a little bit about branding? And then the second thing that we're going to talk about is branding yourself, okay? Let me just give me myself more space. Yeah, okay. No problem, yeah. And then I'm just going to share with you some very, very broad, simple concepts so that you and your content can be a bit more identifiable and recognizable, right? Two things, identifiable and recognizable. Okay, sounds good? Good, let's go. My GIF is working, that's great. So, let's go to the big question. What is a brand? Anyone know what's a brand? Okay, I think if you scour the internet, if you read the books, a lot of people have a lot of definition of what a brand is. Is it a feeling? Is it an experience? Is it a mark? Is it a symbol? You know, is it an impression? What the heck is it, right? So, I tend to go to this person, Martin Neumeier. When I first started out, I read a lot of his books, and of all the definition that I've scoured through, I feel that this is the best explanation and also a vague explanation of what branding is. It is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or an organization / company, and of a creator, right? Now, this is a problem. Why is it a problem? Because when you do brand consultancy and then you tell the client that, hey, brand is a feeling, and then the client will tell you, I don't like to hear that. Like, how do I manage feelings? You know? and the truth is, it's not just how you look, right? It's not just how you sound. It's not just how you present yourself. It's not just the experience, but it's all of the above and more. Right? Basically, everything that comes in contact with the product, the service, the organization, the creator, your content, contributes to branding, right? So I mean, that's why, you know, that's the holy grail question that we always ask ourselves is like, how do you feel about my brand? How do you feel about my content? And that's where I think creators tend to stumble a bit. It's like, oh, what do you mean? How do you feel, right? And how do we even control or determine that? Well, technically, here's the bad news. We have no control over it, right? So a brand is also, it's not what you say it is. It's really what they say it is. So what do we mean by that? Let me go and next one. Yeah, so what do we mean by that? So we can only develop the various elements of the brand, say the identity, the expression, the voice, the tone, the colors, and whatnot, right? But at the end of the day, it's really the audience that really determine and piece them together to figure out, oh, I think so-and-so is like that, right? So we really have zero control, but we can try to influence, right? Which leads me to this next subject, which is branding, okay? Now, more abstract stuff. I'm proud that this is from me. So this is how I define what branding is. Branding is the art and science, and of influencing how people feel about your product, service, or organization, or your content, or your brand as a content creator, right? Art and science, like what the hell is that? Like I said, it's about everything, right? Everything that we are exposed to about the brand is part of branding. So if you have a store, let's say you have a store, so what's branding here? The ambient, the interior, the customer service, the arrangement of the products, the visual merchandising, the queue management, the loyalty program, and then the e-commerce website, the social media, and then your media channels, your emailers, your newsletters, so and more, right? And how you're being represented in the media if you get media coverage, right? Through public relations. So as a creator, it's also everything. Everything that you do, everything that you present, every element that's on the screen or in your content contributes to branding. Now, fun fact, whether you're consciously branding yourself or not, you are actually branding yourself. So if you're not consciously branding yourself, that non-branding is a brand, right? And what happens is people are just going to take whatever they know about you, and then they're going to form a brand or impression and then piece things together. And then that feeling and perception of you will not be in your control. Okay? Yes, that's right. Jennifer said everything. Okay? So as mentioned, we are always branding even when we are not. Okay. So the audience is just going to fill these blanks, right? Now let's discuss through some examples by what we mean. Okay, everyone know what this is? Classic case study, like the benchmark of all branding. It's a pear, no, it's an apple, right? Apple, how do you feel about the brand? Right, I see some nods, yeah. Okay, beautiful products, attention, expensive, attention to details, and expensive. Always trying to make, always trying to make my life difficult, right? By making things that are so like fingerprint prone. I need to get a case for this. I need a case super atas, right? And then it's what's with the USB-C port thingy? Why do you still have a lightning port? But you know what? I still buy it, right? Because it's cool. I like it. It makes me feel empowered. When I use a MacBook, I feel like a better designer. When I use a PC, no, not so much, right? So it's a piece of art. And when Apple announced that they were going to make an Apple car, I bet most of us will kind of know how that car is going to look like, right? How it's going to feel like, how the experience is going to be like. We may not have the full exact picture of an Apple car, but based on our experience and our impression and the brand of Apple that we know, we kind of figure it out. Like, I think Apple car is going to be like that. Do we agree? Do we agree? Now, what's this? What's this? Toyota, right? Toyota is the biggest car manufacturer in the world by volume. And, right, so how do you feel about it? How do you feel about Toyota? Right, I see nods again, yeah, Toyota's. cheaper, easier to get parts when things break down, good entry-level car, easy to maintain, accessible, affordable. That's Toyota. Now, let me ask you, if Toyota one day would ask or were to want to make a smartphone, how do you think Toyota's smartphone would look like? Right, cheap, or honestly, I don't have any idea how it's going to look like, right? Probably going to get an Android, yeah, right, an OEM, and then slap my Toyota logo on it, and that's about it, right? But honestly, I have no idea. It might look like another Xiaomi, I don't know. It might look like a Realme, I don't know. I don't know. So, does Toyota have a brand? I argue that Toyota might not have a strong brand, but they have a range of really strong products. Whereas, does Apple have a brand? Definitely, right? So let's go to another classic example here. Nike, right? And fun fact, right? If you did not notice, I just need to just show the tick and the apple. We already know the names of the company, right? So Nike, what do we know about Nike? How do you feel about Nike? Knots, great. Love your knots, right? Good knots. We all know about Nike. The sneakers are cool, the ads are cool, the shoes are cool. It's a cool brand, right? And then they even have like the coolest tagline, just do it. It's been like decades, just doing it, still doing it, right? And it inspires you to run a little more. When you buy the shoe, I think it's very psychological. It's like when I just tell my colleagues, like, hey, I think I'm going to pick up running again. Must buy Nike shoes, you know. Must buy Nike shoes. They can run a bit better. And now, if one day Nike decides to build a hotel, do you think that people will generally have an impression on how a Nike hotel will look like? Yeah? Yeah? You think so? Okay, I'm gonna try and piece this together, right? My guess is there's probably gonna be a gallery of shoes. Air Force One everywhere, Air Jordans, right? Wallpapers of famous athletes, yeah? Expect the bathroom sleepers to have foam, yeah? Just saying. Like, these are things that we can piece together, right? Nike has already given us these elements, these brand elements to kind of piece together, the tone, the voice, the message, the imagery, right? Now, let's talk about Marriott, also one of our clients. So Marriott, 5-star hotel, excellent service, expensive. It's about luxury, prestige, great amenities, etc., right? If Marriott decide to do sneakers, do we have any idea what Marriott sneakers look like? Maybe expensive, of course, because it's Marriott, right? But it's a mystery. I really think it's a mystery. Not unless I show you something, but no, I don't have an example, because I really can't find it, right? Unless my research prowess is not so good. So, yeah. So basically, to sum it up, a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or an organization, or content for that matter, is what is what a brand is. Okay, you get used to these two things. And then, just to recap, branding is the art and science of influencing how people feel about you, your content, your work, about product, service, or an organization. Okay? And you are always branding, whether you like it or not, even when you're not. Okay? So, let's take a pause here. Any questions? Okay? No questions? Let's go. Now, let's talk about branding yourself, right? I think it's important to brand yourself, as mentioned, because if you do not consciously do that, who's going to do it? Your audience is going to do it. Okay? But branding yourself, as we already know, it's a very, very, very broad subject. So today, I'm just going to focus on brand partnerships, right? I was just chatting with these two gentlemen, and that means the business side of things, okay? The business side of things. Now, going back to what branding is, I would argue branding is the art and science of influencing how people feel about a product, oh, typo, so sorry about that, service or organization. Okay? Now, if by now you don't agree with what I have suggested, now's a good time to go to the toilet, okay? But what do you think the keyword here is? Any guess the keyword here? Science, keyword? Influencing, that's right. Sorry, I don't have a prize. The keyword here is influence, right? I think since the beginning of the human race, as long as there is a form of communication or interaction, any form of communication interaction will lead to some form of relationship, right? And connection. And people will be influencing or be influenced by one another. So, let's go back in time, okay? So, before modern media technologies were developed and started, the mediums that influenced our decision making were from family, friends, community, people that we know or talk to, word of mouth, right? That's the most powerful form of influence. And we trust them because we know them, right? And it's proven effective. Now, what's the next form? Advertising influence, right? So when broadcast technology happened, we have TV advertisements, we've got the radio, and then suddenly ideas, opinions, suddenly is able to be shared with anyone who has a TV, headset, a radio, or just happen to be at the right place at the right time and be exposed to that billboard, right? So peer-to-peer influence became mass influence because of these technology. And then, last but not least, actually definitely not last, social media influence, right? And then comes social media and mobile technology. I think a lot of people focus a lot on social media, but they tend to forget that social media was actually empowered and invigorated by mobile technology. And suddenly, ideas, opinions can now be shared anytime, anywhere, and that changes everything. And I just want to pause here for a while and share a bit of an insight that I was just reading. So we all know that the economy is going to a possible recession, a downturn in the next 5 years. So I was attending a talk by The Economist. So long story short, the dude said that 5 years, it's going to be shit. Great, fantastic. I just sum it up for you. It's going to be shit. Then the next session of that talk, an agency expert came in, and then they start talking about, hey, this is how we're going to do our thing, right? There's going to be a brand audition, right? Suddenly, you know, people, and here's a fun fact, right? If you think about it, customers, viewers, consumers don't really want less, but they just want less for more. So we need to redefine value. And here's an interesting article, which I didn't have the time to flesh it out. The studies have shown that from a stranger to an acquaintance, it takes about 7 hours of interaction, right? And it also shows that from zero to consideration, means consider to like click your ad and consider to buy a product, it takes about 11 to 14 exposures. So you, the creators, are the most prime position to take over this point of influence, right? Because we are most influenced by who we give our attention to the most. Correct? So, you're the real MVP, right? Because as creators, you are now filling in the gap to make that constant connection. I have my opinions of that, not positive ones, but it is what it is. Just because of mobile technology, because of social media, people are able to spend hours and hours and hours just viewing content, developing relationship that develops trust in what your opinions might be and influencing them in their buying decision, right? So that's why a lot of people will always tell you, just keep doing content, just keep doing content. They come from an advertising agency. We come from a place of impressions. Impressions will then lead to exposures. Exposures will then lead to potential consideration to buy your product. So this is where we're coming from. Okay? Now, where are you at? So when a brand engages you, you become part of its branding effort, right? So that means, and hence the term that we always use in industry, influencer marketing. And hence the reference, you all influencers, right? It's a very common term. Now, as an agency and from a brand perspective, we look at 4 things. Not only these things that contribute to your brand, but we do look at these 4 things very closely, all right? When we decide who to work with for influencer marketing. Now, and I also want to say that these 4 will contribute the most. Like I said, not everything, but this will contribute the most to your personal branding. And if you want to take stock and see how your brand is doing, just look at these 4 things. Now, reputation. Reputation is key in any brand partnership. If your reputation is shit, honestly, following and content don't matter. Okay? Case in point, Kanye West, otherwise known as Ye. In the recent months, as we all know, he made some anti-Semitic remarks. And Adidas, who had a really strong long-term relationship with him, and the collaboration that brought billions of dollars to Adidas suddenly vanished. And that billions of dollars accounted to a lot of Kanye West, now also known as Ye, net worth. So, did content matter? It did not matter. Did his following matter? It did not matter, right? The reputation mattered to the brand. So when you want to work with, with a brand on a partnership, always think about what your reputation might be, okay? But creators will often come up to me and say, but what about authenticity, you know? What about being myself? You know, if your social channel is about self-expression and sharing among close friends, and it's private and family, yeah, go ahead, be unfiltered, be truthful, you know, do whatever you want to make yourself feel better, I hope. But just remember, just don't make it public. But if you want brands to partner you, everything that is public matters, all right? Yes, Jennifer is reminding us again, everything. And I also borrowed a quote from our very good friend here, your brand is only as good as your reputation, right? Sir Richard Branson. Okay, but as a creator, the order kind of flips, right? In order to build your reputation, you kind of need to start from personality, building your personality and content. And from that personality and content, the type of followers will come. And that matters, right? Because the following is what the brand is looking for. Who am I selling? Who am I targeting? Who am I exposing my brand to through you? Okay? So start your personal brand by knowing and defining your personality. So you might ask, what about content, right? Well, I will argue that we, as people, human beings, okay, stay with me, we connect and follow the storyteller, the content creator, more than the story and the content, right? We often want to know, who is this guy? Why is he doing this? How is he doing this? You know? And what do you actually stand for? What can I actually gain from this content? How do I know that what you are showing me is real? Can I trust you? Right? Oh, there's supposed to be a GIF. Oh yeah, who the hell are you? Right? So, what is personality? So, I define personality as this. Personality is the enduring characteristics, traits, qualities, and behavior of a person. So, if you as a creator want to develop your creator personality, you have to think about what are your enduring characteristics, traits, qualities, and behavior. Okay? So, Well, if you think this is very abstract, let's think about some examples. What does it mean when someone tells you that you have a nice personality, right? I have a colleague here, Royce. He brought his girlfriend. Royce, you have a nice personality. Okay, you owe me coffee later. All right? So what do I mean by that? Maybe Royce have a very good character, love animals. Do you love animals? Love animals, kind, respectful, not arrogant, nice personality, right? Now, what about a strong personality, right? When someone is described as a strong personality, maybe you're probably not a pushover, right? Very principled, possibly stubborn, okay? Reliable, maybe? Yeah. So, how do we develop this personality? So, we start by determining your attributes and values, okay? And attributes and values are qualities, very similar, like honest, dependable, witty, have a good sense of humor, humble, adaptable, motivated. I get a drift, okay? And values are basically fundamental beliefs that motivates and guide your attributes and behavior. Things like, okay, a bit run-of-the-mill, okay, integrity, generosity, courage, justice, compassion, loyalty. These words must be able to guide your actions, your decisions, that will show through your personality and content. Okay? Okay, so to help us, I kind of curated a few personality types. Okay, because personality can actually be categorized as types. Now, this is not exhaustive, means this is not everything. Okay, as the human race progresses, I'm pretty sure there are more personality types. Okay, but these are the easier ones for us to identify. All right, and I would like to do an exercise on which type do we think these influences belong to. Let's start with the easy one. Okay. Okay. No. It's a multiple choice. So you got to choose between champions, activists, or debaters. How many of you know all of them? Do you know all of them? Do you know who they are? Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So maybe I just give a very brief introduction. Yeah. So the left one, I think everyone know. Her name is Greta Thunberg. She's an environmental activist. So I would describe her personality as fearless, relentless, no nonsense. I mean, consider he gave a lecture to the entire world leaders, right, in the UN conference. And the second one is Malala. I think I got her name right, Malala, right? So what happened to her when she was really young, if I'm not wrong, 12 years old, she was shot in the head because her family was very progressive and she was attending school. Okay, and ever since that, you've been shot in the head, my goodness, right? But she bounced back. And after that, she started championing women's rights, the right for education. And I would describe her as courageous, tenacious, and kind, you know, versus Thunberg. She looks kinder lah, okay? And then the third one, which I think you may not know as much, is David Hogg. So in the US, if I'm not wrong, he's part of the Sandy Hook shooting massacre, the shooting incident, right? And after that incident, it really started a whole big debate with the Republican Party on gun control, and he was really one of the main faces who championed gun control. So if you read about him, I find him very charismatic, he's very determined, and he's very unfazed, considering that he's still a relatively young person and he has powerful Republican politicians heckling him, attacking him, right? So now you know a bit about who they are. Do you think they're champions? Do you think they're activists? Or do you think they're debaters? Okay, this one is no-brainer. Okay, they're obviously activists. Okay? And then next. Okay. This one, I think you will definitely know a bit more, I hope. Do we know the guy on the left? Mutual agreement. All right? They parted via mutual agreement because I'm a Manchester United fan. Anyway, so, oh, you know? Yeah. So anyway, he is Cristiano Ronaldo, the most followed Instagrammer in the world. I think at 443 million followers and counting, right? Well, the second one, queen of social media, I would think, right? Kim Kardashian. And the third one, who knows the third one? Right? That. No. No. Yeah. This is Khaby Lame, right? Is it Lame or Lim? Yeah. It's like Khaby, right? He's famous for his content that goes like, what's the fuss? Like, why make your life difficult? Right? And because of his story, he really came from a very humble background. I'm not wrong, like I think he was doing construction work. And then during COVID, he made some interesting content. And I would describe him as down-to-earth, humorous, and humble. Now, this one is not very straightforward, but achievers, educators, ideologists, what do you think their personality might be? Right? I would think they are achievers, right? They have achieved success in their life. Well, Ronaldo, obviously, not just financial success, he's consistently been touted as the greatest of all time that have played the game, the GOAT, right? And Kim Kardashian, yeah, he might have born with a silver spoon with her mouth, but with that, she actually grew her brand empire through apparel, and now she became a lawyer recently, and she's been championing some social causes, right? I would describe her as confident, savvy, and she's consistent, right? People might think that she's vain, okay? Very superficial, into beauty and everything. Well, at least she's consistent, right? And that's something that you can expect out of it. So if I'm a beauty brand and I want to do like a mass global campaign for top-line awareness, and if I need to choose an influencer, then I think Kim Kardashian would definitely be one of the considerations, right? Am I right? So, and yeah, and then we have Khaby, right? I think he is a story that a lot of people will endear to because of his humble background. Yeah. So these are some, ooh, wait, hang on, sorry. Suddenly it crashed. So these are some examples. So back to the list, okay? So again, these are not exhaustive, but I shortlisted this for easy discussions, right? Now, can it be more than one? Definitely. Definitely you can be more than one, right? Because based on different seasons, different trends, different happenings around the world, you definitely can have more than one, but there must always be a primary one, okay? Because questions that your personal brand need to answer is, how do people identify you? How do people recognize you? Right? And we can all agree that the internet is an extremely crowded space, ton of voice and chatter. So to build following and attract brand partnerships, you need to answer these two questions, right? And here's a pro tip. You want a pro tip? Here's a pro tip. The tip is consistency, all right? People identify and recognize each other because when I see you, meet you, and interact with you, you are the same every time, right? I mean, that's how I know that my dad is my dad, right? He doesn't have to show me my birth certificate every time we wake up. Hey, are you my dad? Yes, this is my birth certificate. This is your birth certificate. I'm your dad. Okay, great, dad. I mean, he is who he is every single day, every time, consistent to his values, his attributes, a personality that I am so familiar with. All right? Not like this guy, you know. They have issues, but yeah, you get what I mean. Yeah, it's that. So, I'm coming to the end, and I want to land this with a recap. So when a brand engages you, you are part of the brand's branding, all right? These are the 4 things that we look at for brand partnership: personality, content, of course, following, and most importantly, reputation. And start your personal brand by knowing and defining your personality. And you can do that by asking yourself 2 questions, You know, how do people identify you, and how do people recognize you? And the pro tip here to guide everything that you're going to do to develop your own brand is consistency. And I think that we all know if one day Coke were to change the color to green, I don't think their brand value is going to grow, right? Because they're just not being consistent. So with that, it's the end, okay? But it is only near. So as promised, I kept it to about half an hour, I think. And I would like to open it up to some questions and answers. You okay? Yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It will evolve. Okay, so that's why the personality types is a good it's a good start to kind of understand what your personality is. It's a good question because right now I am 21, right? No, I'm 39. So yeah. Right, I identify to a 21-year-old. But anyway, so yeah, priorities will change, personalities may change. So like I said, your personality will change. Your values will change, right? So that's why it's important, even in branding with organizations, we always do a brand checkup, a brand check to understand like, okay, is your brand resonating still with your target audience? So it is important to revisit like, okay, so your personality type.
Oh, hello. Oh, sorry, so loud.
Thank you. Yeah. So everything can change, right? But it needs to be considered. You cannot change based on what your target audience demand. For example, if suddenly there's a trend on a specific style of TikTok, you do need to ask that, okay, is this consistent to how my current following is identifying me or recognizing me with? You know, if not, then my advice is proceed with caution, right? So I think recently I saw an MP, Sun Xueling, one of my favorite MP, by the way. And then she suddenly did a kung fu dance like the, what's that, education minister? I forgot his, what? Ong Yi Kan, yeah, Ong Yi Kung. You know, he did that kung fu thingy, and then all the policy descriptions and details were like happening, right? And then Sun Xueling went to do that. And I was really, 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 really disappointed because like she didn't need to do that. You know, I know her, I think I know her, I like her, right? I go to her sessions, I read her articles, I read her speeches, etc. She's not that kind. She doesn't need to do that. Her following does not need her to do that, right? So I think there's a lot of evaluation as you progress, as you grow. Things will change, personality will change, values will change, but it's important to understand why are you doing this in the first place and who are you trying to identify to. Yeah, so those are the key things that to note lah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those who use identity or something different from what we normally look like.
Yeah.
They're obviously going to change. Even for myself, I'm also a virtual content creator. Our identity is going to change. So the branding is going to sort of change.
Yeah.
Brand ambassadors, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's going to change all the time.
Yeah.
Is it, I've known some who will just continue to use the most up-to-date ambassador.
Yeah. Yeah.
That do legacy programs.
Yeah.
So they'll have a new brand or a new product line.
Yeah.
But using the old branding.
Yeah.
So is it wise or is it good to have legacy programs at milestones?
Yeah.
Throughout the development?
So a lot of people ask me the question how do we evolve? How do we deal with these consumer behaviors, these trends, this evolution, right? And in the agency, we have our branding packages and everything, and it goes through a very elaborate, your brand purpose, your brand voice, your brand whatnot. And you know, after 16 years of doing this, I realized that it really starts with what you're most comfortable with, right? Because if you're not comfortable with what you're doing, it really comes through in the long term, through your content or whatever that you produce. And that's why, you know, it's always best to come from a place of honesty. So people who know me will know that I'm a shit salesman, right? When people, you know, just recently someone was like trying to like co-pitch with me, and then we're trying to sell some branding stuff, and then the client obviously didn't have any interest in branding. So I was like, oh great, you know, branding is something that you need to want to know, want to do. If not, it's okay lah, you know, we can don't do. And of course, that co-pitcher was like scolding me, hey, you're a shit salesman, you know, you should be flashing yourself. So there was something that I was not comfortable doing, right? But does the work require that? Definitely. It requires a lot of salesmanship, etc. But I do attract a very different type of clientele, right? Clients who want to grow deep with me. Clients who trust in the things that I tell them, because I would be very honest and say, no, you don't need this. Don't spend that money. So it's really very dependent on how deep your relationship is with your target audience. And then from there, you take cue on how you want to like move or morph or evolve your brand and identity, because honestly, it will change. But it really needs to start from a place of comfort, of being honest. I hope I answered the question. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you raised your hand.
Actually, you were saying something about moving and evolving your brand identity.
Yeah.
So, like, my current challenge is, like, I run a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Tech reviews. I am trying to evolve my brand, not into an entirely different vertical, but like within the same general vertical, but more broad.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody like me?
Oh, okay. So, this is, how much time do we have? 15 minutes, okay. Tech, right? Okay. Yeah, tech, right? Okay, so I'm a CE enthusiast. I'm a consumer electronic enthusiast. I follow 3 influencers. I follow NKPHD. You know NKPHD? I follow Mr. Who's the Boss. You know Mr. Who's the Boss? I follow Dave 2D. You know Dave 2D? Right. They're all talking about tech. Right? Agree? The moment there's new launch of iPhone, new Samsung phone, or new laptop, they would definitely talk about it. But I always watch all 3. You get what I mean? Why do I need to watch all 3? Because they offer something very different. Now, since most of us kind of know who they are, let's just dive a bit deeper. So for MKBHD, so what do we know of MKBHD? Right? He started really young, 16 years old. He's probably one of the most influential and successful YouTubers of his generation. And to me, how I would describe him is that he's very savvy, he's very curious, and he's very honest with his opinions, right? To a point where he will say that, look, I'm a Twitter fan, but what's happening now is not great, right? And that attracted Elon Musk to reach out to him because of his honesty, right? He was very plain, very straightforward, very direct. And because of that straightforwardness, that savviness, did he just stick to consumer electronics? He did not. He covered vehicles. He covered e-vehicles because it's still part of technology, right? But it became a lifestyle to him. So let's talk about Mr. Who's the Boss. Now, Mr. Who's Boss is very different, right? He's very detailed. He plans everything. He will even have a timer, like next chapter, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, next chapter, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, next chapter. Very well organized, bookmarked nicely, so you won't miss, you know exactly what's coming. And it's very polished, very rehearsed, but I don't feel very authentic, right? Because it's too polished. But I still watch it because I respect lah. Wow, hardworking man. And he talked about, and if you look at his subjects, he didn't just talk about consumer electronics, the products, or reviews. He even talked about like why Apple is the way it is, why Tesla will become a market leader in this space, why Xiaomi overtook a certain market space. He started to talk about business because his background was, I think, an economist, if I'm not wrong. And then he expanded there. Now, Dave 2D is a bit interesting. So he focused a lot on gaming laptops, etc., and of course, phones. And then recently, you know, I don't know, maybe family happened, you know, he had a kid and all. He started to change. And he started to shrink his content and just like become very friend conversational, right? Hey, you know, it's like that. Yeah, you know, this is how I view it. If you don't really think this is you, yeah, don't go for it, you know. That was a very, very different dynamic. So I like that. It was very honest, it was very frank, and I really connected with it. So for you, you can broaden it out. But again, what's your personality? Because people need to know who's talking. People need to know who's sharing. What's your motivation? Can I trust you? What can I benefit from your sharing? So I think you need to take a few steps back and determine your personality and not focus too much on the product. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit like the Toyotas and the Marriotts. I mean, it's not bad being them, but yeah. But where it's very product focused. Because, and that's dangerous because if, let's say, one day, Airbnb, you know, revolutionize the whole hoteling industry, that you don't really need these mainstream hotels, then Marriott wouldn't have a business, right? So Marriott needs to stand for something. Marriott needs to represent something. Where Apple, we know that whatever they do is definitely going to be Apple-ish. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think I overran. Yeah. So yeah.